Good morning, everyone, and I would like to welcome everyone to the official or what or what's the term? Welcome to our regular class. Okay, and I am very happy to welcome additional students in our class. We actually have a total of around 14 or 13. So aside from, of course, our regulars, meron tayong mga dagdag. And so, we have, from last Saturday, we have Lovely, we have Dahlia, Lyra, George, and then we have an additional students, new students, we have Jamila and Mary Christine Frago. And then we have a visitor from the past, si Ma'am Shi Talavera and si Sir Policarpio. And of course, our regulars, si Ma'am Nath, si Sir Grulia, si Ma'am Uzel, si Ma'am Ambi, si Ma'am Eileen. Um, Good morning to all of you. Welcome to our Saturday. Um, Last week, I already had a chance to orient everyone of the different subjects for the entire semesters, and that includes the child and adolescent learners and learning principles, the curriculum development, as well as the principles and techniques in guidance and counseling. I also told you of how intricate the relationships of the three subjects. In fact, all the professional education subjects in the curriculum are all intricately interwoven, or should we say, they are all connected or interconnected with one another because the discussion in one subject can be integrated to another subject because they are all, in a way, related to one another. The only difference, I think, is on the focus of the discussions. So right now, allow me to present to you our course syllabus in the first subject, which is the child and adolescent learners and learning principles. I told you then that the child and adolescent learners and learning principle, is actually the very first professional education subject that any would-be teachers would have to study. In fact, this is one of the most essential course in the entire professional education subjects. Um, I told you last time that there are ways by which we could develop our efficacy as a professional teachers, and I gave you one of the many way of understanding how to become effective as teachers. And what I shared with you is to develop our deeper understanding and our functional application of the um, three Ks and an H. Of course, the first K is about the knowledge of the student or the learner, knowledge of the subject and its pedagogy, and then um, the knowledge of subject matter. Okay, and then the H is the heart to teaching. Those three or four is quite essential or prerequisites in order for us to become effective teachers. Why? I also um, I also made everyone understand why. Because first, Why do you need to know your learners? Because they are your clientele. They are the end recipient of what you will be transmitting as part of your job in instructing or in trying to help them understand whatever it is that your topic, specific topic, is aiming to them to allow them to learn. And the next one is the subject matter, of course. It is critical that you know what to teach. Okay? The expertise is a prerequisite. You cannot give what you do not have. That's the whole point of why you study 4 years of your course. Because the curriculum is intending, or the curriculum is designed so you could develop extent of mastery, extent of expertise, so that when you become a full-fledged teacher, um, you are a master of the subject that you will be teaching. Okay, and then of course, if you know what to teach, who to teach, what to teach, you also have to know the how of teaching, because teaching, ladies and gentlemen, is both an art and a science. Science kasi, um, just like all other field of study, it's scientific in nature, it is data driven, it is basically based on the available data coming from the researchers, and that is why the manner of of understanding the different aspects of teaching your specific subject of specialization should always be scientific. Kaya ka nag-aaral lang 4 years. Okay? It's a science, a field of study. Skill, because no matter how masterful you are in the subject, if you lack skills in imparting them, useless pa din yun. Kaya nga, meron kayong mga subjects like methods of teaching, strategies of teaching, how to teach, and your communications is also being trained, because, you know, as teachers, our livelihood is our communication skills. So it is essential that what we know can be transmitted, and that process of transmission would require um, grasp of knowledge on the language as a medium of instruction. Okay? So the know-how to teaching. So tatlo yon. Who to teach, so you have to understand the learners. What to teach, you have to know what to teach. You have to be master of your specific field of specialization. And the third is the how of teaching, the skills and the pedagogical approaches that you can actually utilize so that you could increase the efficacy of your teaching. And then, of course, the last is the heart to teaching, that is with reference to your passion to teach. No matter how well equipped you are in terms of the master of the subject matter, no matter how well equipped you are in terms of the different strategies, methods, and pedagogical techniques to teaching, if you lack the heart, the passion, if you do not care so much for your learners, if you do not in any way love what you do, there is no way you could possibly go extra mile of helping your students to learn. That is the essence of of you know developing the love for teaching, and that is one way of developing the love for children. Kasi kung laing ka mapinadaba, I don't think that you could be a good teacher. because everything has to start there. The compassion, the care, because your job is to nurture and to nourish the the different dimensions of development of a particular child or learner. And so therefore, if that is the end goal, then meron siyang prerequisite na attribute from the side of the teacher. And that prerequisite attribute is personal in nature. Okay, the warmth, the the love, the care, the compassion, your ability to feel the need of your student to learn. Because we teachers are like vessels. We are like, you know, vessels that we need to we need to always fill the cups of our students with reference to their need for knowledge, need for understanding, need for learning. And as a matter of fact, all of us teachers are beacons. Parang we are we provide direction in a way, we provide enlightenment in a way, we provide hope. Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo before, teachers perform a critical role in nation building because we are at the front line of developing a person. We are at the front line of providing building blocks or the foundation for how a child, a learner can become an asset or a liability of our country. Hopefully, um, our efforts will soon translate to helping our learners under our care to really become a good and productive members of our society. That's the end goal. Okay? And we can only participate and collaborate with our government to effectively do our share if we are equipped with the necessary attributes, professional and personal, so that we could, you know, impart and be effective in imparting whatever it is that we need to impart. Could be knowledge, it could be skills, it could be attitude. Okay, so um, right there in your screen is the course syllabus for this course, the child and adolescent learners and learning principles. The course description reads, um, this course focuses on the child and adolescent development with emphasis on the current research and theory on biological, linguistic, cognitive, social, and emotional dimensions of development. Further, this includes factors that affect the progress of development of the learners and shall include appropriate pedagogical principles applicable for each developmental level. Likewise, we could incorporate gender and development issues wherever possible or applicable. Okay? And drawing from that course description, we have here several course objectives. First is um, the course is aiming that you, at the end of the semester, could be able to define and draw some principles of human development that you could compare and contrast, organize and synthesize the different researches and theories related to the four broad dimensions of child and adolescent development, that you could observe and reflect on the applicability of the theories to children and adolescents in their community, regional, and Philippine context, that you could identify and explain the factors affecting human development, that you could articulate and describe the principles of learning theories to children and adolescents in their local context, and that you could create understanding on exceptional developments of children and adolescents. So, judging from the course description and the course objective of this particular subject, this only means that the exact aim or the main intention of the subject is to help you um, develop a good amount of understanding or knowledge about your learners. Okay? Sabi natin kanina, one of the three prerequisites to becoming an effective teacher is number one, to know who your learners are, because everything would have to start from the learners. Remember that our curriculum is situated or is designed in which the learner is at the core, is at its center. So everything will be dependent on the learner, his needs. Okay? And that would mean if you would aim to be effective teacher, you must know the need of the child, because that is what you will be addressing as a teacher. You could only know the need or needs of the learner or the child if you understand him as a person, if you understand him as a child. And the better, or if not the best way of understanding the child, is by looking at his development, is by looking at the different dimensions of his development. Okay? And that is exactly what the subject would like to accomplish, to help you understand that the child undergoes different developmental stages. The child and adolescent has developmental stages, and that these developmental stages is manifested on the biological, linguistic, cognitive, social, and emotional dimensions of, of the child in his development as a human person. Now, ang tanong is, why is there a need for us to understand the development of a child or adolescent? Because these people will definitely be your students in the future. So you really have to understand them, okay? Um, on how exactly they are changing or developing on a particular age bracket, so that, you know, the more you know, the better is your way of navigating. Okay? You cannot truly provide the best inputs, the best learning environment, the best learning experience to your learner if at the first place you fail to understand him as a person. It's prerequisite. Okay? It's prerequisite. Okay, so that is it. Okay, if you are a junior high school student, you have to have a good understanding of what behavior, what social and emotional dimensions or behavior does this particular age group display at this particular age, and so on and so forth. Why? Because that is where you will work. That is where you will navigate or operate. Kaya mas magiging effective ka in operating and in doing your job if you truly understand who your clients are. Parang sa market lang naman yan, okay? If you're a businessman, if you're an entrepreneur, um, you must understand your market. You can never become very successful in business if you do not get your market. Meaning, if you do not understand what your market needs. Okay, in the same manner that if you are in the classroom, you cannot become an effective teacher if you do not understand who your learners are. Everything has to begin there. Okay, so these are the course content or coverage. What we are doing is a continuation of the course orientation, and then followed by the basic concepts or issues in human development, the core issues on human development, factors affecting development, the reproductive system, and then we proceed to the four broad dimensions of child and adolescent development. The first dimension is the physical development. So we need to understand what is going on, what is happening doon sa prenatal development, sa brain development, sa motor development. Do we need to understand the physical development of a particular child or learner? Yes, of course. Okay, yes, of course. As I have mentioned a while ago, um, understanding a child does not only mean looking at how they look like, but trying to understand why do they look like that? Okay, why do they behave like that? Why do they manifest or display behaviors like this and that? So why do they talk like that and that? These are the things that is critical na tayo mga teachers should have a good grasp or understanding. Okay? So after the first dimension, which is the physical development, we also have to understand how cognition or how cognitive development or how the students think. Okay? And there is no better way of understanding that but by looking at how cognition is being developed. So, cognitive development, or should we say mental development. And on this part, we have different theories of cognitive development that we will be touching. Specifics are Piaget, theory of cognitive development. We also need to be familiarized with Vygotsky, theory of development, the information processing development, and then the intelligence theory. The third dimension is language development. Bakit kaya may mga students who are very articulate? Bakit may mga students na nag-stutter? Bakit may mga estudyante na who does not, you know, who does not have the courage to to show off or to express themselves? And so, since um, teaching and learning is a social process, therefore prerequisite ang language or ang communication. And so therefore, it is also a requirement for all teachers to understand how language develop among learners. And on this note, we are going to look at four theories as our baseline of trying to understand language development. And that would be the behaviorist theory, the nativist theory, the interactionist theory, and then the interactionist theory. Interactionist theory, cognitive based, and interactionist theory, contextual based. The fourth dimension is the socio emotional and moral development. This is quite lengthy discussion and should we say interesting. We are going to work on with Erickson's theory of psychosocial development, Bandura's social cognitive theory, the Lawrence Kohlberg theory of moral development, and Carol Gilligan's theory of moral development. These theories, ladies and gentlemen, are are the premise of how educational system is working and how educational system is trying to understand a learner. Okay, these are the most accepted theories out there that is applicable to what is now. Okay, And then after the fourth dimensions, this is now the time that we are going to explore what learning is, including what is the learning principles, are the learning principles and theories, what is the nature of learning, how do people learn, what is learning exactly. So we are going to look at the theories of learning. There are two that we need to focus on, the behavioral theory of learning and then the cognitive theory of learning. Aside from that, of course, we need to understand what are the factors that may contribute to learning. And lastly, we are going to explore the different laws of learning and other laws of learning with pedagogical relevance. The critical part of our discussions or learning episodes is on how exactly are we going to tie up, or how exactly are we going to put our understanding of the concepts in classroom situations. Um, that is what we mean by what is the classroom implications of what we are going to talk about in the different theories and concepts of this course. So, my role as your teacher is to help you understand the concept and how it relates to situations, because that is the critical part of the the intention of the subject, to help you understand the concepts, the theories, and its application or relevance to classroom situations. Okay, so um, the moment we discuss a particular concepts, issues, or topics, the next thing that we do is to know its implications to classroom situations. Okay, because when if we are able to know the relevance of a particular concepts or theories of what we're talking about in classroom situations, that is where we could understand it better. Okay? Kasi dapat meron tayong way to put it into context. Dapat meron tayong way to put the knowledge or the concept into context or real life situations para mas maintindihan natin siya. Okay? So, if all of those course contents were delivered, these are the course outcomes that is expected. First is that everyone will become familiar with the theories and principles of human development. Everyone could demonstrate the comprehensive understanding of the different dimensions of human development, that you could develop or demonstrate the ability to incorporate the principles of learning and teaching, and that you could describe the causes, the classifications, and then the characteristics of the different developmental disabilities. Okay? So these are the few important course outcomes that the subject is trying to work on with at the end of the semester. Okay? Hopefully, um, this course would allow you to open doors or and windows of understanding in the true nature of teaching as a profession. Okay? We have to have a good view of our learners. We have to have a good understanding of our learners if we truly would want to become relevant in teaching as a profession. Okay? Course requirements, of course, these are obvious. You will have individual and group quizzes and exams. You will have individual topic presentation. You will have online learning activities. You also should have midterm and final examinations. These are some of the references that you could actually look at, so you could always be on top of your game in terms of our discussions. So, are you ready now for our first topic? If you do have question, you can always put that in our in our group chat. Okay? And later on, I will now be posting the first lecture of our course, which is about the basic concepts and issues on human development. Thank you very much for listening.